So I have received the first McLaren Artura in Lebanon, and I have covered it to give it a dramatic effect. Let me show you what it's all about. There we go. Now, as you guys already know, the McLaren Artura is basically a replacement for the 570S, a very typical McLaren design. You can see that specifically to those arrow shapes in the front and the rear. All right, so we are going to start off with the key fob of the McLaren Artura. It's the new McLaren key, unlocking and then opening the frunk from here and then locking it from this button. It's quite a light key, as you can see, finished in plastic, unfortunately, but I mean, it slides very nicely in your pocket. Probably one of my favorite features in McLarens are the butterfly doors, and they've kept it on the Artura as you'd expect. There's a button over here which you press and then it lifts up. Let's jump inside. Oh, there we go. Ooh, wow. All right, so what's it like sitting inside the McLaren Artura? First of all, I have to say the seating position is so nice. The spec is a bit weird. We have teal accents contrasting with the brown. I mean, daring spec. With the ambient lighting, that is teal. You know, it kind of makes sense, but I mean, I wouldn't choose that spec for my Artura. But wow, the way it hugs your feet. I'm gonna show you everything. By the way, there's a fun fact about McLarens. The paddle shifters are two-way, so you can upshift and downshift with the same paddle, so you can kind of one-hand drive it. BMW and Mini had this system back in the days when the paddle shifters first made its way into cars. So if you're familiar with McLaren, you'll notice that the Artura shares a lot of similarities with its predecessor, especially in the interior. We have basically the same steering wheel and then this floating center screen, which I honestly really like. You notice it's a straightforward screen. I like this vertical shape. It doesn't really take up much space in the cabin, and this dial over here is basically the volume, and you can adjust that on the top. Drive, neutral, and then reverse with a very nice red start-stop button, and then hazards as well. Behind that and in front of it, you have two cup holders. This one is pretty small. The one that is closer to the driver is, I don't think it can fit a small bottle of water, to be honest. I'm gonna try to test it out. So this is a POV look at the McLaren Artura. First of all, I'm gonna close the butterfly doors. You can see the Bowers and Wilkins speakers, and then the teal accents, as I mentioned. I love, you know, how this is designed with the nice leather on the top. And you can open the door either by pressing on this latch over here. It's an E-latch, or in case, you know, you lose battery, you're gonna use that latch over here. I love those paddle shifters, very high quality stuff. And this is how you can upshift and downshift using the same one. So this stock on the left controls voice command as well as the display over here. So scrolling between the various modes that you want displayed over there. There we go, scrolling to that. You can connect obviously your phone, navigation as well. So this doesn't have the gauge cluster that rotates basically like on the flagship models, say 720S and the new 750S, but you can control the handling as such. I like these obviously for blind people and then these for the power over here, and then going on to manual. This is where the car starts up, comfort, sport, or electric. Finally track, and you can see how that display changes accordingly. To the left of the steering wheel, you have your front lift, lane assist, locking and unlocking the vehicle, and then finally your frunk button with the controls for your headlights and then the parking brake. And then on the right, you have a button for your parking sensors, and to control your side mirrors, simply rotate and then use it as a joystick as you would on a normal car. And then the steering wheel is telescopic, so you can move it forward, and the display moves as well on it. We saw it on the McLaren Elva that I filmed back in Dubai. So the screen position is also very well done. First of all, volume, physical volume knob, which obviously everyone loves. And then scrolling between the various stuff. Ambient lighting is one thing. I don't like the teal, man. I don't know why that owner spec'd it with teal. I would go for red, but if you go for red, contrasting with the teal and then with the brown is just a disco ball, as my friend Ralph over here at McLaren told me. Go to home, simply press on the side. Okay, so this is cool. You can save your driving position. So the owner is going to love this MCR seating position. And then if you go on the side over here, you have your main menu. We have to set ESC to dynamic to start the VDC. And then this is the climate control settings, temperature at the bottom. It's a dual zone climate control. And then you can see where you want that air to be blown. Don't mind me sweating like a pig inside the Artura. I don't know why it's so hot inside here, but I wanted to mention that the door bins are pretty large. We don't have a glove box, unfortunately, but the center console thingy with a nice McLaren logo is nice to have. And then you have a USB-A port and USB-C. You have a bit of storage space behind me. You can see that obviously it's gonna go sliding, but again, take a look at those beautiful seats. Oh my God, man. They're so comfortable. That seating position is probably my favorite part of the Artura, and the way it hugs your feet, and this footwell is kind of tight, it's small, it's very driver focused, that is for sure. And then you can see that visibility isn't really compromised. We have a large window in the back. So to open the front on your McLaren Artura, you have to press twice on the key fob. There we go. And then this lifts up. We have 160 liters of boot space. I mean, it can fit at least 5 of these. All right, so what about the powertrain of the McLaren Artura? We have a 3-liter twin-turbo V6, a HUD V setup. It makes 680 PS. 95 PS of that is from the electric motor. That is powered by a 7.4 kilowatt-hour battery. It is placed behind the rear seat of the passenger. And we have 3 clutches in this car. We have a dual clutch transmission. It's an 8-speed. And then the third clutch, which disengages, and you can drive this car fully electric mode in reverse, kind of like the SF90 Stradale. Now, McLaren is very proud of its new and improved chassis. It's an MCLA, I believe, so McLaren Carbon lightweight architecture. I got it right. So this car weighs 1,500 kilograms only, and I'd love to get behind the wheel of it. I mean, with that power sent to the rear wheels, I mean, that thing would be so nice, especially with that extra kick of the electric motor. McLaren Lebanon, I need to drive an Artura. So I just turned the car around so we can have a closer look at that rear end. I have to say, the white contrasting with the black does look really, really cool. I love those butterfly doors, flying buttresses, as you can see on either side. Now we can unfortunately not see the engine, so we cannot open the engine cover. The McLaren Artura writing over here, very modern, and again, this mesh grille finish over here in the back. Carbon, obviously, again with the carbon pack, everything is in carbon. This is where the number plate sits, and then we have a nice little camera. You can see the much slimmer lights over here, and obviously we have intakes, radiators on each side. I love the LED daytime running lights, and then typical McLaren headlights. Carbon packs, you can see full carbon fiber front and rear. One thing that you have to be careful inside the Artura is that the seat can eat a lot of stuff. Watch this. And now I just lost the key fob. I think it can take my phone too, maybe. Or it's a nice storage space, but I mean, yeah, it just eats this up.